Yo, what up? It's Chris. I hope you're doing well. I don't know anything about anything, but I've rapped a long time, and there's something I'm noticing in the world of music, hip-hop, culture, human experience. And I like it, in that people are talking about folks over 40 still heavily engaging in hip-hop as culture. Whether they're MCs, whether they're producers, whether they are in media, journalism, or marketing, or whatever it is, hip-hop is now being understood to be like grown folks included, right? And there's another thing I'm watching that's interesting is like the older generation recognizing the failures of our generation and recognizing our responsibility to engage with the next generation and engage with the generation prior to us, which is dope because now you're having intergenerational hip-hop. And a question of like, yo, is the business set up to be equitable? And enough people have been in it long enough to find other ways to make money or be successful in it where they can tell you what's really happening. And we're starting to get a much better idea of how the business of hip-hop actually works, what type of contracts people get, how 360 deals work, publishing, how ownership of your likeness, your image, your name, how these things function, and the push and pull between being an independent artist or going through a major outlet. Two interviews that stand out to me that I just want to mention because like I thought it was super dope. Joe Budden on My Expert Opinion and Smooth the Hustler and Trigger the Gambler on My Expert Opinion. Two separate interviews. But the Joe Budden interview, he brings up issues of homophobia in hip-hop. He brings up issues of trauma in the black community. Brings up issues of lack of parity and equity within a capitalist environment and the notion of how capitalism functions and stifles creativity. He gets into ideas of the reality of when you are being funneled through major systems, how that works, and what's celebrated, what parts of hip-hop culture are being exposed and amplified. During the Trigger the Gambler and Smooth the Hustler interview is so great because they talk about the history of a certain like era and geographic region when it comes to hip-hop that's amazing that you never get. But there's a thing that I'm realizing, like most of the people who rap for real, you never heard of. The people who actually were at the events, were rapping all the time, were in the ciphers, were producing, were heavily involved at the ground level and on the street level, never made it to labels, never made it out. There's so many people involved in the culture and that have the history of the culture that aren't being celebrated in these 50-year anniversary events or aren't being celebrated by certain non-black owned and non-hip-hop run media outlets. And there's this whole wealth of information out there and it's starting to be shared, and that's super dope. And I would say one thing, like there are a couple of people I think who have been involved in music and media for so long that hip-hop looks a certain way. And this goes out to them. There's still dope people doing independent music that is high quality. Whether it's people like Akai Solo, Mandela Skia, Fatboy Sharif. I like the stuff that I make. There are people who still make hip-hop, love hip-hop, and are totally not attached to industrial systems. So, if you love hip-hop, I want to talk about it. Holler at me. Peace.